Alright, back again, Luke here. And today we've got out the old Kix 91 Control Box Super Gun, and I figured we could put in this game here, Demon Front. So, let's pop this on and play some of that. Now, this is a game that I've already put up a video on several years ago, but today I just thought we could do some gaming and chatting and just kind of relaxing and whatnot. I was starting to clean up some of the games in the game room, and I came across this one and I thought, wow, it's been a while since I played this, and I tried to plug in the board and start the board up, but the board didn't work, so I had to do a couple of repairs on that to get the board running. But yeah, I mean, I didn't really have any plan for this video in particular, but since we've been seeing a lot of things on the internet regarding like old games and prices and kind of price hikes and things like that going up, I kind of figured today we could maybe chat about it and do some gaming at the same time. This is one of those games too that has seen a huge price increase over the years. I think I remember picking this one up for possibly maybe, I don't know, I want to say like maybe $100 back in the day, but I went on eBay just to see what it's going for, and it's like the cheapest one you can find nowadays is like $400, so, or $300 or something like that, and it's just like, wow, you know, these games have gone up a lot, you know, over the last few years. But there's the intro. There we go. But yeah, it makes me wonder about, you know, you guys out there who are into collecting. Has the price increase on a lot of these older games kind of made you think twice about continuing your collection, or have you just kind of bit the bullet and decided to pay the outrageous prices that are being charged for retro games nowadays? I know for myself, there are a lot of games that I was fortunate enough to pick up when they were cheaper, but when you go back and you take a look at even some common games now, they're going for like almost 5 times or more the price that they would have normally been going for. I think a lot of it has to do with the hype, and since there are more people going into the retro gaming, you know, getting into retro gaming, I think that that's one thing that's causing the price increases to go up. I don't believe the price has anything to do with the rarity nowadays, because there are so many common games that are going for just unrealistic prices. I think it's just a lot of people kind of banking on the fact that everyone is looking for that game to either complete a set, or somebody's made mention of it, that it's a really awesome game, and now everybody wants to go out and pick it up. Ugh, jeez. But yeah, just curious what everyone's thoughts are on the whole video game madness going on here. The craze is strong. There are still a lot of great things that you can get out there. A whole lot of great games and deals that you can find if you're lucky. But those days are kind of becoming few and far between. I remember back in the day I used to make a lot of hard-off videos and whatnot, but you know, although hard-off still does have some games and there's still people who are going out and, you know, visiting the store, I just feel the prices are a bit unrealistic. I mean, it's almost criminal what hard-off is charging now compared to what they used to charge. The cool thing about hard-off and book-off and all those places was that you could pick up a decent game for a really low price, and that's what kind of made you coming back there. There was always something unique too, and you never knew what you were gonna get when you walked in. You know, you go in for maybe just to see if one thing was there, and then all of a sudden you realize, oh wow, there's this and that, and yeah, it was just a really fun place to go shopping. Nowadays I feel like it's hard to get that really good deal that you used to get, you know, back in the day. Oh, I can't get it. No! So that's one of the reasons why I've kind of stopped going to hard-off to pick up games, just, you know, because of that factor there. Like I said, there are still some people that can find some good deals and whatnot, but you really are looking pretty hard to find good deals nowadays compared to before. Wow, you came back. You gonna come back up? Yes, you are. There you go. So, but just curious as to how it's affected you guys as collectors and, you know, gamers in general. Are you still picking up the random game here and there? Are you picking up the ones that you really want? Are you holding out for new generation games or the re-releases on Switch that we see a lot of nowadays? Or, yeah, what's your go-to thing now? Since the retro market has gotten so saturated compared to before, I'm just wondering how many people out there are still collecting for these old retro consoles or arcades. Yeah. Because it's getting tricky. I mean, beforehand you used to be able to pick up a game or so for, you know, 50, $100. Sometimes the really expensive ones, yeah, you'd spend a couple hundred on them, but now when you look at thousands, you know, for a game that isn't necessarily good at all, it's just a game that's rare. It makes you wonder, like, is it worth the continued effort of trying to complete a set or to complete a game collection that you've wanted to complete when you first started collecting, or has that boat already sailed and now you're to the point where I'll just collect the games that I want, or I'll wait for a re-release on Switch or something like that. Some questions of the universe, I suppose. The arcades here, the arcade games used to be pretty cheap, you know. In fact, the arcade games were one of the kind of go-to things where you could pick up a game that had never been released outside of the arcades, which was nice because it had that rarity factor. But on top of that, you could sometimes find some broken ones for reasonable prices and fix them up and then play those ones if you had the ability to. But now even the broken games, or the games that have not been tested, supposedly, etc., are just ridiculous as far as price goes. So even trying to pick up a broken game now is really, really hard. Can I go through there? I thought I could go through that. No? Maybe I was wrong. Huh. So, yeah. I'm still picking games up from time to time, but it's nothing near what I was able to do back in the day for the prices and for the variety. Now you're really kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel. I think it's harder for people nowadays to try and collect for any system that's even, I don't know, 10 years old, 20 years old, compared to, like, let alone some of these older systems, because the prices on those have even gone up quite a lot. But, geez, dying also all over the place here. So I know a lot of people have kind of given up on that and waited for either limited run to make a game for it, wait for Nintendo to come out with a release or a patch or something, a download, so they can get their chance to play. But just kind of glad to have at least, these games that I picked up a long time ago still around, because trying to pick these up nowadays, it's impossible. You'll definitely break the bank. I mean, unless you're going for one or two games a paycheck. It's a big difference from before. I have found that since I do have a lot of these older games, that the re-releases for them on the newer machines, I'm not so inclined to pick up new releases of games I already have. So if I do see a game that's been re-released, but I already have it on either arcade or something like that, I'm not going to pick it up again. I can't see the point of picking up the same game again and again and again on different platforms. I feel like that's a bit of a cheat move for some companies. I know a lot of people do love Final Fantasy VII, and although I thought Final Fantasy VII was a great game, I don't know how many renditions, revisions we really need of it. I know that there's a lot of games that are like HD, and you know, this comes out with a special pack, and this one comes in a, you know, a tin case, and you're just like, you know, you get to a point where you're like, do I really need another one? So, not sure exactly how much like cohesion, like or how much people are kind of focusing on the game or what I'm saying. But you get what I'm saying, I think. Just kind of gotten to the point where the collection has almost stopped where it is right now, and it doesn't seem to be getting much bigger for many people, just due to the prices and not being able to find what you want at a reasonable, affordable price. I've seen a lot of stuff online, you know, depending on when you're watching this video, there's been just a lot of stuff going on with the DK Oldies thing. And it really makes you wonder about stuff. You know, you take a look at the website, you take a look at the videos that people are making on it, and you see that there's just so much of a difference between 5 years ago and now with prices, quality, standards of, you know, gaming and things like that, that it's just like, wow, what's going on? You know, what's next kind of thing. But yeah. That being said, keeping some of these old games up and running is also a challenge. It's definitely something that's tricky. And if you have this old hardware, you can almost guarantee that when you want to plug in a game and play some of that, it's a lot more difficult, because the one time that you do go for it, the game doesn't work, or, you know, the hardware doesn't work. So I can understand that there are a lot of these older games that are really hard to come by, or the price isn't in a reasonable price range for people to get. Normally it's one of the latter ones, you know, that... There we go, I can go in there. You know, that causes people not to pick them up, but... I think the lack of these games, or the lack of being able to just get the games, can also be a factor that's causing people to kind of wait for them to be re-released on the current gen hardware. Come on. We're gonna keep continuing. But yeah, just curious as to what everyone's thoughts are on current gaming, and you know, what's your go-to thing? Do you guys spend a lot more time on the new gen stuff just because it's convenient, or do you go for the older stuff too because of the nostalgia or the originality factor? I mean, I've dabbled in the emulation side of things, and I use emulation a lot to repair a lot of these older games, because they are still... I mean, emulation is the old game basically in a saved format, digital format, where you can actually not only use it for the raw file that it is, or the ROM file that it is, but you can also help to repair some of this old hardware, preserving some of these old games for what they were. But as far as like using emulation only for everyday gaming, I don't use it for that at all. I think it's great for those who have no other options or whatnot. I think that having only emulation versus buying any physical thing, maybe pushing it a bit, just because, you know, there is some, you know, I think I don't know what to call it, but there's definitely a point where you think like, okay, all of this is free and all games should be free, and like I don't have to pay for anything, and that's kind of a bit of entitled, I suppose, way of thinking. But definitely having the ability to play some of these harder games, or, you know, giving them a test, or if you have the actual hardware and it doesn't work anymore, but you still have the game and you want to play it again, I think, yeah, it perfectly makes sense. But just downloading everything and saying like, oh, I know I own all these games and I never have to buy a game again, because a lot of the devs who have gone back and reconfigured these games to work with emulated hardware, you know, they put in a lot of effort to try and get these things going. So it's like just saying like, oh no, I mean, I deserve it. I bought the games when I was younger, so, you know, I should have the game ROMs now as well. I think that may be a bit of an extreme approach. But yeah, just curious as to everyone's take on things. I know that some people nowadays too like to pull out, or they would rather just play an emulated game rather than pull out the original hardware or the original game, because it's just too much work, which I can also understand to a certain extent or a certain degree. But yeah, how many of the old way of thinking people are out there versus like some of the new gen gamers, etc. Just something I consider from time to time. Or how many people still do pay really, really high prices for those generic games or basic games versus trying to find the deals. Hopefully this video has some sort of coherence to it. I know that playing a game and talking at the same time is a bit of a challenge. So don't mind me. But I just thought this would be kind of something fun, just because it's a game that I haven't had to play through in a long time, and yeah, wanted to go ahead and get this thing going. But this is a really fantastic game, and I think that if the price is right, it's worth getting. I understand that inflation and everything is causing some of these games to go up, which is perfectly understandable. However, that being said, like, paying way too much for a game and then paying a reasonable price for a game, two different things. So come on. I don't know if we're gonna get it down or not. There we go. Woohoo! I think we gotta still shoot. Come on, stop moving around. There we go. So yeah, feel free to leave your thoughts and ideas down below. But like I said, just a bit of some gaming and some of my thoughts on the recent gaming scene here. Just thought I'd get some of your ideas as well. But anyway, that's about all for me for right now. Like always, I'll put up another video here soon, so thanks for watching. Watching some old school gaming here. Using some original hardware purchased back in the day. That's crazy when you haven't played these old games a long, long time. Like, you forget where everything is. But it's still neat. It's just something about, you know, playing the original games as they were intended on the original hardware, at least for me. They play at the proper speed, and they have those glitches that make the game, you know, quirky and whatever it is. Maybe we'll just finish off this round here. So much madness going on here. Yeah! There we go. So we'll just leave it there, guys. But yeah, thanks again.